The following program, NORML Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting NORML.org, NORML.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of NORML Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of NORML. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents NORML Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, NORML's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belden.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Thursday, March 4th, 2010, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Join us for the next 60 minutes of news, talk, information, comedy, music, and more by, for, and about the cannabis community. We're all about you here at NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. And joining us in our virtual studio, my good friend, half-half sister, and the only woman to throw a sharp implement into my skull and live, Cannabis Carrie. Oh, that's not fair. I didn't.
Today.
Glad to have you here, Carrie. I didn't get that mute off quick enough. What did you say?
Oh, I was just asking how it was there in Portland today.
Oh, it's sunny and 60 degrees. We're loving it down here in beautiful Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, it was deliciously foggy all morning here on the edge of the Pacific Ocean, but now the sun has burned it off, and it is picture-perfect gorgeous.
Oh, great. We're going to break with our traditional lineup here for just a second because we've got people in the chat rooms just gushing over the news of CBS apparently reversing their decision to not show NORML's Times Square ad through the Neutron Media super billboard, that 26-foot by 20-foot billboard that we raised money for and talked all about last month. This is great news. We heard this coming through change.org. They had put up an online petition that had over 8,000 people sign it, and apparently they had spoken to one of the CBS vice presidents who gave the green light. Joining us now from Washington, D.C. to give us the latest on this story is the founder and legal counsel for NORML, Keith Stropp. Keith, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Russ. Always good to be with you.
Well, I guess CBS changed their morals. Is that what happened?
Well, that was what we were told the first time, that if they changed their morals, they would be back in touch. We take our victories where we can find them in this business, and this may seem a minor victory, but I think when you realize how hostile to this movement CBS has been on a consistent basis, this does seem to be a significant turnaround. Now, there is one caveat I would use. I was just discussing this with NORML Executive Director Alan St. Pierre before we came on the air, and he said his only concern for the moment is he wants to see the contract that they're offering. We've had enough bad experiences with CBS that the fact that some third party tells us they've changed their position, that's a good sign, but we want to make sure that there are no strings attached to this change in position. So we have set the money aside for the ad. If their offer is what it sounds like, which is that we would now be allowed to do what we were trying to do a month or so ago, then almost certainly we will be running those massive ads in Times Square before very long. But again, before we make an official announcement, we need to read the language of the contract.
Absolutely. So it sounds good so far, but the devil's in the details. Like I wrote about this, I said, why do I feel like Lucy just told me she wouldn't pull the football away this time when I try to kick it? So
I thought that was a perfect analogy, Russ, because that's exactly how we're feeling. For example, It would be one thing if they're just saying, here, you get to buy the ad space. That's terrific. But what if they were saying you get to buy the ad space, but you have to agree you won't publicly criticize CBS in the future? Well, obviously, we're not going to do that. So because of our awkward history with them over a number of years, we honestly do want to be very careful about what contract we're signing.
Absolutely. Well, we'll keep an eye on this. Pardon the CBS logo pun, but we'll keep an eye on this, and we'll see if we can get that billboard put up in Times Square. Keith Stropp is NORML's founder and served as executive director, I believe, twice, wasn't it, Keith?
That's right, in the 70s and again from 95 to 2005.
Yep, and is currently serving as NORML's legal counsel. Thank you so much, Keith, for joining us here on the show today to give us the latest update.
Nice to talk to you, Russ. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go back to Cannabis Carrie out there in Astoria. She brings us the news right after our first break. So, Carrie, what are we looking forward to in today's headlines?
Well, we're going to go to Rhode Island and see what legislatures are trying to move forward there. We're going to talk about Barry Cooper's interesting week. And also we're going to do a little visit on the fake cannabis out there, K2, and see what's going on there.
All right. All that news coming up right after our first break here. Thank you, Carrie. We'll put you on hold for just a moment, and when we come back, we will be getting into your hemp headlines. Also, we will be speaking today with Terry Joyce in our Southern California scene. She is bringing Jeffrey Peterson back on the show to discuss their latest exploits there in beautiful Southern California. And Matt Simon from New Hampshire Common Sense will be joining us to discuss decriminalization in New Hampshire. Stay tuned. It's NORML Show Live.
You're listening to NORML Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Hello, I'm Paul Stanford from the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, or THCF. Medical marijuana is legal in 13 states today, and THCF has clinics in 8 of those states. Our doctors help qualified patients obtain an authorization for medical marijuana in their state. Patients are eligible for medical marijuana with a history of either severe chronic pain and or nausea, cancer, AIDS or HIV, hepatitis, glaucoma, seizure disorders like epilepsy, chronic muscle spasms such as multiple sclerosis or asthma, neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, and gastrointestinal disorders like IBS or Crohn's disease. If you or someone you know has one of these conditions, our doctors will help you obtain a permit for medical marijuana. THCF Medical Clinics has offices in Washington State, Oregon, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Nevada, Montana, and now Michigan. Call 1-800-723-0188 or go to the web at hemp.org or 1-800-723-0188.
Look, when I was a kid, I inhaled frequently. That was the point.
Remember, Mr. President, you once were just one bust away from being Barry the drug criminal.
Life ain't a box of chocolates gum. That's why people smoke weed and take bumps and drink way too damn much and get drunk and do it all over again for.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's NORML News with Cannabis Carrie.
We've talked about the cannabis substitute K2 on the show before. It is a proprietary herbal mixture that is sprayed with a chemical called JWH018 that reportedly acts similar to marijuana. The big draw? Well, it is still legal in most places and it doesn't show up on a drug test. Herbal shops, head shops, and even a few truck stops have been selling the little packets of the substance that is marketed as an incense. Recently, states like Kansas have outlawed the substance, and there is a movement nationwide to restrict its distribution. Dr. Anthony Scalzo, a professor of toxicology at St. Louis University, has seen nearly 30 cases involving teenagers who are experiencing hallucinations, severe agitation, elevated heart rate and blood pressure, vomiting, and in some cases tremors and even seizures after experimenting with the substance. Dr. Scalzo suspects that there may be another unknown toxic chemical being sprayed on K2 other than just the JWH018 that may be making some people sick. In any case, the untested and unregulated incense product is no substitute for a well-known and natural non-toxic plant that man has used for centuries.
Yeah, only Prohibition could do this, right? Only Prohibition could take people who want to just use a safe, non-toxic herb that's been used for thousands of years and led to very, 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 very few bad side effects for very, very, very few people and absolutely no deaths. Only Prohibition could take people that want that and then have them try something untested, something synthetic, something that has no proven track record with safety or efficacy, and something that is of unknown quantity. I mean, when they've been seizing these samples of K2, or sometimes it's called spice, they've been seizing it and they've been finding vastly different amounts of JWH-018 that's been sprayed on it, from milligrams to grams, vastly different amounts, and all sorts of other things being added to these different blends. I have had people that have commented, though, that the K2 thing might be them just trying to scare people away from it, that it may be safer than it's being given credit for, and they're just trying to scare people away from that because they know that people won't test positive on workplace drug tests for this, and they don't have a drug test for it yet, so it might just be a scare tactic. I am dubious of that. I am a little concerned. We don't know what these synthetic cannabinoids can do in long-term effects on human beings using them. So I would recommend people just stick with the tried and true, the natural, and stay away from the K2 stuff if you possibly can.
The former police officer that has helped scores of cannabis consumers to never get busted again is himself in hot water. Texan Barry Cooper, who has produced and starred in the DVD Never Get Busted Again, was arrested on charges of filing a false police report and for possessing a small amount of marijuana on Tuesday night. Barry Cooper has made many enemies within the narcotic officer set because as a former narcotic officer himself, he educates people about all the tricks they use to try and arrest cannabis consumers. Cooper has recently begun a Cop Busters campaign to try and turn the tables on law enforcement. He has made a few videos of himself luring police to plant citizens' evidence to see if they would pocket cash that he included in the planted packages that also had fake drug paraphernalia. In his video, indeed, it appears that at least one police officer did take money from one of his sting operations. But it seems that the police are not amused with citizens conducting their own sting operations. Police came to Mr. Cooper's home under the pretense of the Class A misdemeanor of making a false report and got a warrant for his arrest, a warrant to search his house, and they seized computers, phones, and other digital media. Police ultimately found about 1 gram of roaches in his house, enough to arrest his wife as well. Both Barry Cooper and his wife, Candy Cooper, posted the $2,000 bail and were released from the Williamson County Jail late Tuesday night.
Well, it does beg the question, should you buy a DVD called Never Get Busted Again from a guy who just got busted again? But, if you want to start a discussion in any marijuana law reform group or a conference or anything like that, just say the words Barry Cooper and see the reactions you'll get from people in marijuana law reform. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad involved in what Barry Cooper's doing. On the one side, as a former narcotics officer, his perspective on how they think and the tactics they use to try to trap marijuana consumers are invaluable. I think those parts of his DVD are fantastic. His experience training so-called drug-sniffing dogs as well is very, very good stuff. Understanding how they false alert, how handlers can get them to false alert, and how to fool the dogs. Great stuff. However, on the other side, Barry's also very fond of saying that, if you follow all his rules on how to hide your cannabis in your car, that you should just go ahead and let the cops search, right? You should give up your Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. And I'm personally, I love the Constitution. I can't ever tell someone to give up their rights. That always seems like a bad thing to me. Now, this Cop Busters program, that's another thing that's got people concerned, because on one side, those of us in the cannabis community who have been victims of the prosecution and persecution of law enforcement, the corruption that the drug war brings, we love seeing these videos. We love seeing these videos because it validates what we've been saying all along in this war on drugs and the way the police are treating us. Some of the police are treating us. But on the other hand, the Odessa Police Department does have a point about making false reports. If you're calling cops to go, look at your little sting and wasting their time to get them on video, you're taking them away from policing other things. So I have my concerns about that, and especially when he talks about how out of all the people that he did the sting on, he only got, one or two of them that actually stole anything. Well, then again, now you've wasted the time of all those other police officers. And in this latest incident, it had to do with a package that had been called in, left at a school. Now, it was after hours at the school, but it had allegedly contained a crack pipe, right? So schools, crack pipes, suspicious packages in the era of terrorism, that's not cool either. So, very interesting, this story on Barry Cooper. Again, we'll keep our eye on how this sorts out. But, again, to market never get busted and then get busted just strikes me as kind of funny.
Rhode Island is the latest state to seek legal protection for adult cannabis consumers. Today, House lawmakers introduced legislation that, if passed, would allow the possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana and exempt adults from criminal or civil penalties. House Bill 7838, the Taxation and Regulation of Marijuana Act, is sponsored by Representatives Edith Aiello and State Representative Rodney Driver, and spells out the compelling reasons to repeal cannabis prohibition. Rhode Island already recognizes the legal use of marijuana for medical reasons, but now lawmakers will get a chance to weigh in on the issue of cannabis for any adults that would choose to consume. The proposal would establish licensing requirements for the commercial cultivation of cannabis and also retail facilities to distribute the commodity. Licensed commercial producers would pay a $50 per ounce excise tax. Adults would be allowed to grow up to 3 marijuana plants that would be registered with an identification zip tie, and cultivation for personal use would be limited to only indoor growing. Selling cannabis would be prohibited unless they were a licensed commercial producer. The new bill has been referred to the House Judiciary Committee, and the 16-member committee must now decide how to proceed. We will keep you updated on any progress the bill makes.
Well, congratulations to the state of Rhode Island for making a sensible move of looking at the regulation of marijuana for all adults. That makes 5 states this year so far that have made this call to their legislature, either through initiative or through legislation. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, California, and Washington. And soon, Oregon should have another one up on the petitions as well. So we could have 6 states in the United States all asking for marijuana legalization. Now, will it happen? I don't know. In the legislative sense, probably not, especially in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and even in Rhode Island. I don't know that this will pass. But the initiatives look promising in both Washington and California. It looks like we have a lot of support out there. And I firmly believe that once one state legalizes, the war will soon be over. Because once the other 49 states see the rush of business and money and jobs and the reduction in crime and other associated ills with prohibition, that they will be foolish not to get on board that gravy train. I see it coming. And that's why reformers from all over the country need to pour their resources, their phone calls, their emails, their letters, and their money to the organizations in those states that are trying to pass legalization. Sure, you may be stuck in Mississippi, you might be stuck in Oklahoma, you might be stuck in Ohio, but if you get legalization and you help pass legalization in California, that's going to make it so much easier to get it started, at least, in Mississippi and Ohio and Oklahoma and all these other places. Let us all fight together and focus on at least California and Washington, if you ask me. And if we can establish beachheads in those states, I'm sure legalization for everyone in the United States will not be that far behind. Thanks, Cannabis Carry, for the news. We will come back in just a moment. We are going to be getting our music for Rockin' Thursday. John Doe from John Doe Radio's got a great tune lined up for us that will groove you through the day. And then after the break at the bottom of the hour, we'll be going to our Southern California scene with Terry Joyce. She brings Jeffrey Peterson back. Comedian Jeffrey Peterson will be joining us, and more coming up. Matt Simon. That's the other person. Matt Simon from New Hampshire Common Sense, discussing the decriminalization bill in New Hampshire. Time to take a break. It's 20 after the hour. Everybody enjoy it your own special favorite way. And remember to share. It's important to share. I'm Radical Russ. Back in a second.
It's 20 after the hour. And we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support NORML Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Law420.com. Hello, I'm Russ Belville, Outreach Coordinator for NORML. In my job, I read literally hundreds of headlines each month involving nonviolent, productive citizens whose lives are ripped apart by a marijuana or drug arrest. Many citizens could avoid arrest by refusing police searches and remaining silent, but police are well trained to confuse and intimidate. That's why you have a right to speak to an attorney before answering any police questions. I hope you never need to exercise that right, but if you do, make your first call to the law offices of John C. Lucy IV. John Lucy is an accomplished criminal defense attorney with expertise in Oregon's medical marijuana law. John Lucy understands and respects cannabis and drug consumers of all backgrounds. Call John C. Lucy IV at 503-227-6000 or visit in downtown Portland. Address available at law420.com. That's John C. Lucy IV at 503-227-6000 or visit law420.com today.
Hi, this is Alan St. Pierre, Executive Director of NORML. We are the oldest, largest, and best-known marijuana law reform organization in America, and it's all because of your support. Take some time to join NORML at www.norml.org. Your membership supports this podcast, our websites, our policy research and analysis, and our annual conferences. Changing marijuana laws is a grassroots effort, and it starts with you, the stakeholder. Join NORML today and add your voice to the millions of cannabis consumers who demand equality with our beer-drinking friends.
It's time for your Daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420-friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Our PodSafe music is donated by freedom-loving musicians who support our goal of ending adult marijuana prohibition. Today we bring you tunes for Groovin' Thursday, our salute to all the dopest beats and killer rhymes that we find in the best of rap, hip-hop, soul, R&B, and funk. Brought to you by the John Doe Radio Show, accurate and informative marijuana reform news and entertainment. Available on the THC Media Network and JohnDoeRadio.com. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on NORML Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now, here's some great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tunes.
John Doe Radio.
John Doe from John Doe Radio. I appreciate all the support you stashers have shown the John Doe Radio Show. You have been hugely supportive of us, and I cannot thank you enough for that. So, the only thing that I can think of is to give you another great tune. This tune was sent in by one of you awesome stashers. The group and name of the tune is Wombaticus Rex, Winter in Space. Yes, you heard me right. Wombaticus Rex. Awesome name for a group. Thank you for making the search easy. It's very appreciated. This is a great hip-hop tune that has its roots planted deep in old-school rhymes. Just a beat and a voice is all some people need to tell a complete story and paint the most vivid picture that can be imagined by those who don't stand in their shoes. That's what I love about hip-hop, the storytellers and the magical way they bring into view their surrounding world. I don't know much about Wombaticus Rex, and I love saying that name, by the way, Wombaticus Rex. But what I found online was the three-man group was founded in '99 with the release of an album to Canada, and they are from Vermont. You can pick up a free track of their music on their website, wombaticusrex.bandcamp.com. Also an awesome website name. It's good times, good music. My name is John Doe. Until next time, see ya.
I know people got questions like 37. You see the monster MC that speaks impossibly deep on mediocrity's beats? Yeah, you're true and living, consuming human superstitions. Cause changing minds takes a highly smooth magician. Crazy thought, maybe every sapien's a baby god, but our brains are flawed, so we never break the bond. Locked in a cage, a generation riding away on a beautiful blue planet with oxygen chains. Take it and run, fight to stay crazy and young. Dance naked, spit fire and aim at the sun. If memory lies, I gotta sever my ties and murder who I think think I am whenever I rhyme, infecting the minds of young kids questioning why all the grown-ups are so fucking empty inside. I was in the back seat when the acid hit, had me spinning bad dreams into a bag of chips. Like most monkeys obsess about sex and do anything they can to forget about death. I drop a track with nothing but awkward facts, ask the herd animals to holler back. So much centrifugal force at my physical core, I can walk past your house and break shit on your porch. The transmission of space, deep in the galaxy, fans listen for days and speak telepathically. Look, I'm not asking them to rescue me, just collect all these humans and set me free.
So when you get abducted, they're just gonna laugh at you like, look at what you did to your own mother Africa.
It's been 2 years since I talked to God, doing vodka shots with the broken Walkman on, and he told me there is no deeper meaning. All this beautiful bullshit keeps repeating. Back before the rappers had a formula down for exactly how each verse and chorus should sound. At some point in your little search for facts, words collapse. Under pressure, nerves can snap. To those who know how it feels, hit a bottom with a fake mustache and a real drinking problem. Yo, my flow is equipped with elements of truth. Most of the shit only exists relative to you. If you believe in straight lines, I'm crazy as hell. So I don't even waste time with explaining myself. Meditate on everything I say with a mic. Cast a long shadow cause my language is light. Burning words onto blank paper at night. And providing science majors with the basis of life. Incredible sex from the second we met until our letters connected like a chemistry set. I saw the game, said fuck it and walked away. And didn't stop going till I got into space. Terrestrial beliefs, morally defective. So I look at politics with an orbital perspective. All the war means to me is dead children. And the same 5 banks make another 10 billion. Since money is nothing but murder and blood, as soon as I get cash, I convert it to drugs. Cause the end of the world just came and went, and we're all still living at the same address.
37, you see the monster MC that speaks impossibly deep on mediocrity's beats. Yeah, the true living, consuming human superstitions, cause changing minds takes a high school petition. See, I can not do you little pink monkey. Stop it.
Wombaticus Rex, thank you, John Doe Radio, and thank you, Focus, for sending us that song right from our chat rooms onto the show. Glad to have all of your participation here in Normal Show Live.
It's 420 somewhere.
All right, it's time to check our cannabis community calendar, which you can find at norml.org/calendar. These events are posted by our normal chapters, so if you want to get your event listed, you need to get your local normal chapter to put it on their calendar and to share their calendar with National Normal. For information on how to do that, just send me an email at stash@normal.org. Coming up on today, Thursday, March 4th, we have court cases going on. Eugene Davidovich's jury trial has been, the time to be determined is taking place in San Diego, California. Southern California Normal wants you to know about that. Also, SoCal Normal is telling you about the trial for Jeff Joseph taking place in Los Angeles, California. For information on that, call Vicky at email Vicky at GANNIE71@gmail.com or call 805-368-2600. Also today, Wayne Westland Compassion Club is meeting in Wayne, Michigan. For information, see waynewestlandcc.ning.com for more details. University of New Hampshire Normal is having their meeting at the MUB 334 building, and Philly Normal is having their meeting at the A-Space 4722 Baltimore Avenue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Check phillynormal.org for details. On Friday, March 5th in Cincinnati, Ohio, Normal will be, Central Ohio Normal that is, will be at the Bob Marley One Love Birthday Tribute with live reggae. This will be in Cincinnati, Ohio, and for more information, check out cincyticket.com. On Saturday, March 6th, Central Ohio Normal will be meeting up at the Clintonville Panero Bread Meeting Room. Cleveland Normal has their meetup at the Root Cafe in Lakewood, Ohio. And more support for the Bob Marley One Love Birthday Tribute in Cincinnati, Ohio. For more details on all of these events and to get involved, check out the Normal calendar of events at norml.org/calendar.
This is Normal Show Live.
There is a peaceful solution called a peace revolution. And now let's take back America.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Like millions of freedom-loving Americans, I'm a marijuana smoker, and I don't think that should be any of the government's business. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana. For next time you light up, take the time to let your elected officials know how you feel. It's time we legalize marijuana and stop treating marijuana smokers like criminals. For more information on how you can help legalize marijuana, please contact NORML at NORML.org.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527. Weed.
That's Hootie Valley, hootie-ha.
Weed.
Where any office boy or young mechanic.
Now it's time for a report from the epicenter of American cannabis culture with our Southern California correspondent. You know her from ComedyNation.com and her appearance as a finalist on Season 1 of NBC's Last Comic Standing. It's our friend, cannabis comedian and marijuana activist, the lovely and talented Terry Joyce.
Hello, Terry. How are things down in Southern California?
Oh, they're wonderful. We have a beautiful, beautiful day today.
It's good all over the West Coast today. And before we get too far into this, I've got to re-record a lot of these introductions because things change. I know you're working with a new show called American Hemptress, and I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that.
Well, American Hemptress is a stand-up comedy show that is with January Thomas and I. She's my partner on the show. And we are, it's got a little bit more of an activism aspect to it. We want to tell our own stories as women, our relationship to cannabis, and as well as, what's been happening with our government, what's been going on, and just how it influences our lives, and kind of, bring a different voice out there. And we had a wonderful show last night at Fado Dough. We did a benefit for Blue Iris, and we raised some money, and we had some amazing bands perform. We did a raffle, and it was really great. And we went to HempCon, which I have to say is absolutely amazing. I saw a machine that you just put all the weed into and it automatically trims it. I was like, wow, that has taken away a lot of jobs from some college students, So, just the technology that's going on, the booming, medical marijuana, healing the earth, planet, people, business is actually alive and happening, and it's really great to see that.
I'm glad to hear you had such a good time at that HempCon.
What?
I said, I'm glad to hear you had such a good time at that HempCon. You still there, Terry?
Oh, I did. I did. I'm still here. I did. I had a wonderful time, and also ran into a friend of mine there that who actually brought me into doing shows about medical marijuana, and he's a comedian, and we did the Dope Show together. We also came up to Portland and did the Dope Show, and that's how we met you. And he is doing some really interesting things right now, especially he has his own company and working for Free Eddie Lab Apparel.
Oh.
And I wanted to invite Jeffrey Peterson back to the show.
All right, Jeffrey Peterson, how you doing, my man?
Hey, what's happening?
Been a long time. Glad to
Radical
hear from you.
Russ, my brother.
My brother.
My brother from the north, dude. You know how I love how you hold it down, man.
Oh.
You and my peeps up there at Oregon NORML. I got to give you guys some props.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Tell us about this Eddie Lepp line that she just mentioned.
You know, Eddie is beyond being a cultural icon. He is a good buddy, and I just love the guy. I'm in touch with him about every 2 weeks via mail, and I decided I need to step it up a little bit, and so my partners at Free Eddie Apparel, Simon Blake and my brother Dagwood, and I decided what we're going to do is we're going to do something that's really going to affect Eddie where he lives right now, and that's in prison. We have a T-shirt line that we have Eddie's iconic image on. It says Free Eddie Lepp. And when we sell these, $1 of what we sell is going to go to Eddie's commissary. So we can really fortify him where he is in prison. And he's gotten word back to me that it's really making a difference.
That's great. How can people get a hold of some of this Free Eddie Lepp clothing?
they can just go to freeeddieapparel.com, and you can see what we've got going. We just encourage people to help us spread the word about Eddie's plight. He's in jail for 10 years for growing 32,000 plants on his own property. You know, the biggest, you know, bust of that kind ever. And Eddie, you know, is in prison. Don't be misled, folks. He's not sitting in a living room watching TV. He's in a federal correctional facility.
Yeah, it's no good.
So we want people to get out there and help the guy, you know.
Yeah, it's absolutely despicable that he's being imprisoned for this. He's got his marijuana farm on two levels too, because not only does he grow medically in a collective sense, allowing people to grow there on his property, but he's also a Rastafarian minister and sees it as part of his sacrament.
He certainly is, and that's a sacrament, exactly. And you know, the thing is too, his rights have been totally just denied for those reasons. And the other thing is Eddie, you know, until Eddie's free, none of us are free. And when Eddie's free, then we're all free. And that's where we're going with this. I want to see Eddie on the cover of Time magazine. Yeah. I want to see Eddie talked about in 60 Minutes. And right now I have a new program that I'm working with the Cottonmouth Kings and Cypress Hill, Los Marihuanos, Smoke Session, Mean Green, Individuals, Pyrex Band, all these great bands, comedians, weed celebrities, as I like to call them, that are going to join forces on a deck of cards that we call Free Eddie cards. And they're going to show their support. I'm going to drop these on the governor's desk and let him see. Forget a petition with faceless names. We're gonna show him point blank. These people want this man pardoned. Get him out of prison now.
Yeah, absolutely. And here for you doing that.
We got a lot of supporters, and I just love the dude. I just want to see my buddy come back out and so I can smoke some of his killer bud.
No kidding. Hey, Jeffrey, tell us about your background.
Can I come? No.
Yeah. Jeffrey, tell us about your background.
Yes, you can. We'll all be invited when Eddie lets us free.
That's right.
We'll be partying like
it'll be a big
here
party
to New York City. Trust me. Maybe even in Boston.
Hey, Jeffrey, I wanted you to tell folks a little bit, give them a little picture of yourself, how you got involved in marijuana law reform, your history with the sacred herb, and just what you're up to now if people want to get involved in your career and what's happening.
Well, thanks, brother. I'll tell you what, the way I got started in cannabis was I had an older brother, a.k.a. Dagwood, that was just a big-time stoner. And I just grew up, you know, in that stoner culture, listening to Led Zeppelin and Jethro Tull, and so I kind of aspired to be that cool. Well, when I got older, I realized there's a lot more depth to this, and when I read The Emperor Wears No Clothes in 1990, I was changed. I really was turned on to something that couldn't be turned off. Jack Herer really inspired me to add the importance of letting the world know about how hemp could change the world into my art. I was a heavy metal musician, so I started putting that into my songs. I had a couple songs in a couple of the bands I was in, Night Riot and Justice League. So I began early on in like 1990 planting those seeds, if you will. And when I started doing comedy in 2003, I specifically wanted to be a pot comic. And so I've been encouraged by some great people, including George Lopez, to continue that. And that's what I do. Now I have my own show called The Dopest Show on Earth, which evolved from Terry's show that she and I did called The Dope Show. And it's at the John Lovitz Comedy Club at Universal City Walk, you know, in the heart of tourist town. So I'm really excited about having that show there. We've had some great guests. We've had Kato Kalin was there, Lou Dog from Cottonmouth Kings, Henry Hemp, you know. So we've had some great people there.
Oh, that sounds great. I'd love to come down one of these days. Maybe we'll have to make an appointment for that.
Oh, that would be phenomenal. Tentatively, my next show there is April 8th, but I got to get the particulars on that. But the John Lovitz Comedy Club, Universal City Walk, is the new home of the Dopest Show on Earth. And besides that, I just did the HempCon comedy show, and I'm looking forward to doing the THC Expose comedy show. So a lot of good things are happening. Terry's show last night, American Hemp Chris with January Thomas, was just phenomenal. And I got to say, Blue Iris is somebody that deserves looking into, guys. She was a true cannabis hero and pretty wild for being a porn star in her 60s. So can't knock that.
Yes, that was definitely an interesting story. Terry, let's go back to you for a second here. Earlier in the show, Carrie and I covered a news story about this new K2 or spice, the synthetic fake weed that supposedly gets you high, doesn't show up on tests and so on. Now, you guys are living in the mecca of medical marijuana and dispensaries and all that. Has this even reached California? Is anyone even talking about K2 out there?
No, actually, this is the first time I've heard it. And to be honest with you, Rick, I call you Rick Russ. You broke up a little bit for me on that. There's a fake weed a synthetic weed that's out here.
It's the stuff they call K2, and it's really big.
I'll tell you what, guys.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I just picked some up at the Champs convention. I was out at the Champs convention the last couple days, and I've yet to try it, but I can't imagine what it's going to be like. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing I'm concerned about is salvia is completely legal while cannabis is still having trouble being legal. And I'm not knocking salvia, but my God, is that a roller coaster?
Well, just to fill Terry in, this K2, this K2 is a synthetic cannabinoid that they use in laboratories to mimic THC when they do tests on lab rats and stuff. And it's been showing up in places like Kansas and Missouri and stuff. They'll take it and they sell it as incense, and they spray it on fake bud or whatever, the wizard smoke or whatever you call it. They'll spray it on that, and they sell it for like $30 to $40 a bag. So it's priced like weed, and it supposedly looks like weed. And when you smoke it, it's a synthetic cannabinoid, so it activates your body's cannabinoid receptors just like pot does. But since they don't drug test for that metabolite, you don't show up on a drug test for using it. But my point was that you're in California, since you guys have access to the natural stuff, you're not even hearing of this K2, are you?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't seem to affect us.
I mean, why bother? Why have that's just like having fake breasts, I know they look good, but it's we don't know what it does to the body long term.
Right.
And after a while, it gets out of style. It's like to me that it sounds like another drug company way of making money, like they make all the other synthetic drugs that don't do as well. I mean, why are we being taken away from the natural aspects of this plant and the healing aspects that come from the earth? I mean, that's I really believe that we need to be connected to that and stop using. I won't smoke it. I mean, what's the point? I mean, it's like spraying oregano. No, thank you. I'll pass.
How about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah, and to perpetuate that kind of nonsense really is a discredit to just botany in general. I mean, come on. What that's like. What are we going to make next? Flowers that give off scents of cannabis just so you can smell it in your home. I mean, it's like, let's just let plants be plants and stop trying to argue with nature.
Yeah. Boy, I think that's a great...
There are aspects to the marijuana plant that people don't even realize yet. I met a doctor that works with Alzheimer's patients, and I asked him, I said, is it true that, marijuana has a healing aspect to Alzheimer's? And he said, yeah. And he said, there's properties in THC and in the plant itself that we still don't even know what they do yet, but they're beneficial. And I think if you extract just certain things and just go, okay, this is here, this is, you're missing out on the totality of what that plant may be.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
No, I think you nailed it there, Terry. And I got to wrap up the segment here, but I do want to give you guys one last chance to let folks know how they can get in touch with you. Terry, if they want to contact you or see the American Hempster Show, what do they need to know?
Well, come check us out. Be our friend on Facebook on our fan page, and we are really wanting to connect with different people across the country in the medical marijuana community as well, and keep in touch. So please do Facebook us, and our next show is at the Berkeley Clinic on April 3rd. So we'll be posting that soon, and that's the easiest way to find out what we're doing.
Fantastic. And Jeffrey, your appearances?
Well, I'll tell you what. I want folks to be sure and check out my alternative lifestyle magazine for the cannabis culture. It's called Cali Chronic X. You can find us on MySpace and Facebook. And also, don't forget to go to freeeddieapparel.com. It's important that we help Eddie Lepp out. I'm going to be appearing this Saturday at the John Lovitz Comedy Club for Big Mike's Headliners Only Extravaganza Comedy. And you can find me on MySpace or Facebook, but don't look for me on Twitter because I don't tweet. The rehab is way too expensive, and
Okay, well, thank you,
not
Jeffrey Peterson and Terry Joyce, for joining us here in our Southern California scene. Terry, we'll be back with you in 2 weeks, and take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you, you too.
All right, good day, Jeffrey.
Radical Russ, keep rocking, brother.
All right. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Matt Simon from New Hampshire Common Sense on decriminalization in the Granite State. Stay tuned.
You're listening to NORML Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Hello, this is Webb Hubble. Life insurance is now available for responsible marijuana smokers. For years, responsible marijuana smokers have not been able to access affordable life insurance products. NORML uniquely supports cannabis consumers. 2 carriers have already agreed to offer all of their traditional life insurance products at all levels without excluding individuals who smoke marijuana responsibly. Help NORML and help yourself. If you've been declined for life insurance, are paying above market premiums, or simply want to know what now may be available in the way of insurance for marijuana smokers, contact me at info@mclaughlinonline.com or simply call me at 202-293-5566.
NORML Show Live reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while and share. This is NORML Show Live.
Cause the day was hard and your work was long and you need a break from all that's wrong. You better look at the clock cause it's 4:19. Time to reach in that pocket for your bag of green and smoke that weed. Smoke that weed. Smoke that weed. Smoke that weed.
NORML stands for Reforming America's Prohibitionist Marijuana Laws, and that cannot happen without directly engaging our government and elected officials. Local NORML chapters and other affiliated activists relentlessly lobby our lawmakers for change we can believe in and report on their strategies and progress in this segment we call our Government at Work.
All right, for Government at Work today, we are joined by Matt Simon from New Hampshire Coalition for Common Sense. You can find them on the web at nhcommonsense.org. Matt, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Russ. Great to be back.
I guess you got some great news for us on what's going on in the New Hampshire legislature with regards to decriminalization. Tell us the latest.
Yeah, actually, we expected a vote yesterday in the full House. It's not going to happen until next Wednesday, but we're sitting really good with the bill. It's House Bill 1653. It decriminalizes possession of just a quarter ounce or less, making it a violation and a $200 fine. The committee, I think the big story here is that the House Criminal Justice Committee that has been against us in the past actually voted 16-2 in favor of the bill this time. So there's a lot of different, the momentum has definitely changed. And we've got the Criminal Justice Committee 16-2 saying we should have decrim. That definitely makes everybody else stand up and take notice.
When we look at the other 13 states that have instituted decriminalization in the United States since the 1970s, oftentimes we find that their limit is 1 ounce of marijuana, or even when you go to Ohio, it's as high as 100 grams. What was the factor in motivating the legislature here to come up with 1/4 ounce or 7 grams?
Well, unfortunately, that was the compromise that was necessary to get it through this committee. Mm-hmm. The committee chairman, the former committee chairman, and several other members of that committee had compromised with the other members of the committee who were against it a couple years ago. So we go back 3 years with this committee debating what the amount should be. We think it should be 1 ounce or so, but the committee has agreed to pass it only if it's a quarter ounce. We see that as a clear improvement over our current policy. It would mean a lot of people don't get arrested, a lot of people don't get records, and certainly, we think marijuana should be legalized, taxed, and regulated for adults, and hopefully this will be a temporary policy anyway, but we see this as a clear improvement for our state, and we're certainly willing to support the Criminal Justice Committee if they're willing to support this.
Is there any indication for those legislators who wanted this compromise to bring it down to 7 grams, how they came up with that number? I mean, they don't do any studies or anything on like this. They just say, a quarter ounce sounds good.
Well, yeah, it was actually a former member of the committee, somebody who fortunately got voted out a couple of years ago, who originally, he's a former chief of police, and he said, well, I might be willing to support this if it was a quarter ounce. Mm-hmm. And everybody wanted to make it a quarter ounce, and then they made it a quarter ounce, and he still voted against it and spoke on the floor against it 2 years ago when we passed a similar bill. So it's a nature of politics, but the quarter ounce figure got stuck in a lot of people's heads, and that's what seems to make sense. They know Massachusetts did an ounce. That's our neighbor to the south. But they're not comfortable. They want to, if they're going to pass it, they want to do something less radical than what Massachusetts has recently passed.
Okay. Now, this bill, HB 1653, you mentioned the support was 16-2. What happens next? I mean, what sort of hoops are they going to have to jump through for this bill to finally become law in New Hampshire?
Well, first it has to pass the House of Representatives, and we're confident it will do that. We're hoping to get at least 2/3 of the House. That would indicate that we have a veto overriding majority, because Governor Lynch has already said that he'll veto this if it comes to his desk, and he vetoed the medical marijuana bill last year. So we've got public enemy number one from a marijuana policy standpoint in the governor's office, and that makes everything an uphill climb. But first we want to try to get 2/3 in the House, and then we got to go over to the Senate and convince them. It's going to be another politically charged climate. Every senator's up for election this fall, so they're going to be thinking politics over policy, and it's going to be difficult to convince them. But every time we go in there and make our case, we come a little bit closer, and there's been clear progress every year. We've put ourselves through this.
Yeah.
So, I can't promise we're going to pass anything this year, but every time we have a hearing, we come a little bit closer to getting something important passed.
All right. Well, let's get you some help in getting that passed. If people want to get involved and show their support, how can they help your organization, and who at the legislature should they be directing their emails and phone calls to?
Well, at this point, the bill's still in the House, so people can come to nhcommonsense.org. There's a link there where people can find out how to contact their reps. Certainly, they should sign up for our email updates, and so they'll know right away when things are happening and when it's time to be contacting somebody. And as soon as the bill does pass the House, we'll be asking everybody to reach out and contact their senators as well.
All right. Well, check out nhcommonsense.org for more updates and ways to get involved. And Matt Simon's the Executive Director of New Hampshire Coalition for Common Sense. Thank you so much for joining us here on our show today.
Hey, thank you, Russ.
All right. Well, it's 53 after the hour.
But we're not going to sit here and listen to you bad-mouth the United States of America. Gentlemen!
And I'm going to take a little time here to let off another one of my patented rants. This is a story that came across my desk from my activists in Oklahoma. You want to talk about a tough place to be a marijuana activist, it's Oklahoma for sure, where people like Will Foster were sentenced to 93 years in prison for growing 17 plants. Not an easy place to stand up and say, I smoke pot and I like it a lot. This is a story that came to me from one of the activists, forwarded to me from a group called Legalize Medical Marijuana in Oklahoma. And it's the story of a woman named Denise Stahl. And Denise Stahl is an Oklahoma woman living in Oklahoma City, and she's involved with trying to get medical marijuana passed in Oklahoma. She lives on 12 to 14 pills a day, according to the reports. 12 to 14 pills per day. And according to her quote, she says, quote, I've been diagnosed with chronic hepatitis C, post-traumatic stress disorder, arthritis, and asthma. So a woman who clearly would qualify for medical marijuana in any of the medical marijuana states, she wants to go talk to her legislature, talk to her elected officials, and convince them that medical marijuana would be a good idea. So she books a trip to her state capital, right, and books an appointment with her state senator, and told her state senator that she wanted to talk to him about medical marijuana legislation. The senator's name is Cliff Aldridge. He's a Republican in Oklahoma. Now, when she went to the state capitol and went to her senator's office, when she got there, not only was the senator there, but a team of law enforcement officials in uniform wearing their weapons were waiting for her. Now, the senator, she complained, of course, Ms. Stahl complained that she felt ambushed by this, by having all these law enforcement people here. And the quote from the senator is, "I didn't mean to ambush her. I don't feel like she was ambushed, but if she felt that way, then I apologize for that," end quote. Aldridge says, according to the story, Aldridge says he simply didn't know enough about the issue of medical marijuana and invited some experts to come and join the talk. So, Senator Aldridge, what was it that made you think that police officers are experts on medicine? Do you invite doctors in to consult on your criminal legislation? Who do you call when you're looking for expert opinions on energy policy? Plumbers? One of the people that they had there, one of these law enforcement officers there, was Mark Woodward from the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics. And Woodward said, quote, "I've heard this same story repeated over and over. It does tend to be a gateway drug for many people. It opens a door and puts them on a path that often leads to other places." He also says that the issue of legalizing marijuana for medical use sends the wrong message that pot is okay. Oh, well, okay, but gee, didn't know we were sending a bad message. Well, screw the cancer, AIDS, glaucoma, pain, seizure, spasticity patients. We can't be sending bad messages. Sorry, Miss Stahl, but if we protect you from arrest, people will think pot is okay, including the Oklahomans that are already using it. This Woodward guy from the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics, a typical medical expert from law enforcement, they actually release a document on medical marijuana, their little fact sheet, their little talking points. And I posted this up at the Stash blog at stash.normal.org. Let me read to you some of the stuff that these medical experts with the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics have to say about medical marijuana. New data has shown that marijuana smoke has a higher concentration of carcinogenic substances than tobacco smoke. Well, all smoke has carcinogens in it, and he fails to note that THC mitigates those carcinogens with certain anti-tumoral properties. They also say, it is linked as a cause of lung problems such as bronchitis. Well, yeah, but not if you vaporize it. And studies confirm damage to brain cells. That's not true. And may actually, the marijuana may actually protect our brains and be a treatment for cancer as well. They say the studies confirm damage to nerve cells. No, that's not true. We have studies showing it stimulates nerve cell growth in the brain. And reproductive organs, which have led to stillbirths and birth defects. Yes, he's saying stillbirths and birth defects from the use of cannabis. In addition, acute memory loss and lowered immune systems. Yeah, that's why we give medical marijuana to AIDS patients. Once again, this just shows how politicians are ignorant in the ways of medical marijuana, and to ambush a woman looking for some relief from her legislature, it's already nerve-wracking enough to try to go book a time with your senator, but then to ambush her with a bunch of cops? That's uncalled for, Senator Aldridge. I encourage everyone to contact Oklahoma Senator Aldridge now. You can get a hold home of Oklahoma Senator Aldridge, just check out our blog at stash.normal.org. Look for the post on Oklahoma, read the story, and learn more. I'm Radical Russ for everyone here at Normal. Take care of each other,
This
tokers.
is Normal Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Take it out one more time. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down